How's it going? Welcome to the introduction to animation. In Flash, there are four types of animation. There's a frame by frame, there's motion tween, shape tween, and then there's an armature or bone tween. So before we get into those specifics, let's talk about the history of animation. Let's talk 1937, and the first full-length animated feature comes out. It's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And how that was done was cell by cell animation. So they had, let's say the background might be on one cell, and then they lay over another transparent cell and draw the characters. And then the next, they lay the next one over and they draw the next little slight movement. So they draw each little character frame by frame. And by doing this, they need to do that 24 times in order to make a second's worth of animation, because film is 24 frames per second. Okay, so as this process evolved, Disney started to implement a new way of working with animation, and that was that you would have the senior animator draw the key frames, the most important frames. So he would draw a frame and then the ending frame. So I like to call that point A and point B. Then the senior animator would hand it off to his or her assistant, and then the assistant would draw the frames in between, because that's where the motion was, and they weren't quite as important as the key frames. So they would do the in-betweening. Now in Flash, you're the senior animator. You create the first, point A, keyframe, and then point B, and you let Flash do the in-betweens. Okay? So, like, here's an example visually. Let's say you're doing Goofy. So Goofy and keyframe A, he's getting ready to run. So he's like this. That's your first frame, right? Then he runs, and he smashes into the wall. This is your second frame. That's your B frame. So then the in-between frames are all the running and the motion between that keyframe A where he's getting ready to run and that B point where he smashes up against the wall. Okay? That's your introduction, and now we'll get into Flash and actually create some animations.